Hello everyone, welcome back. Do you own an 11th generation Ford F-150, model years 2004 through 2008? Well, today I'm going to be covering a consistent problem with these, specifically with the SuperCab models that have the half doors in the rear, not the crew cab that have the full four doors with the exterior handle to open and close it. The problem with it are the open and close latch cables have these plastic cam locks that attach them to the mechanism, and they're made of plastic, so they end up deteriorating, getting soft and breaking, and then the cable isn't secured enough when you pull the latch that it keeps tension on it to pop the lock open. So essentially your door in the rear is going to be locked shut and you can't get it open. So we're going to go into detail on how to fix that issue and the parts that are going to be needed to replace those plastic ones, which are made of aluminum, and it'll be a permanent fix, and how to do it with the door closed. Because my driver's side was stuck closed, I fixed it. The place I was at, I wasn't able to do a video about it, so I saved the other 4 cams. You got to purchase 8 to do both doors, so each door takes 4 each, so I purchased 8 of them, and I wanted to make a video on the passenger side. So my door still works, but I'm going to do it while the door is closed, so that if you're experiencing a failure already, that's how you're going to have to fix it if you can't get the door open. So if you do own one of these trucks and you're having that problem, or you just want to prevent that problem, you're in the right place. Stay tuned. All right, here's our 06 Lariat. It's been a pretty good truck overall. There's some other things about this truck eventually I'm going to make videos about, but yeah, this is the SuperCab model. It's not the full 4-door, and what you'll experience is when you open the door, you go to open up the back one, you'll pull the latch and the door just won't open. But this one still opens, but what it is the cable mechanisms that are back here, and there's a latch here at the top, and there's a latch down at the bottom. Those cams will break, and then it just moves the whole cable. It puts slack in the cable so that there's no tension on it to pull these locks open. So what I'm going to do is, like I said earlier, we're going to have the door closed, and we're going to show you how to fix this and be a permanent fix. And the fix to this are these cam locks here. You can get a set of 8 of them. Like I said, I already fixed the passenger side door, and these are on Amazon for $12, I believe, $11.99 to be specific. I'll put a link in the description below for these cams here, and this will fix the problem, and be assured that you won't get locked out again. So this door opens, but we're gonna, like I said, do it with the door closed, just like we're trapped, like we were last time. Okay, we are in the back. You can push your passenger seat forward and then tilt the back of it forward, and there's a little space. You should be able to get in and out between the door and the seat. So we can hop back here. The door's closed, like I said, because once these fail, you're not gonna be able to get the door open. So first thing we're going to do is this plate here that holds the window switch here. You can use a plastic trim tool. I'm using a flathead screwdriver. I recommend the plastic trim tool. They're a little easier on here, but this is pretty good hard plastic. So just kind of twist your flathead here in the corner and pry up, and then you can just pull up with your fingers and it'll snap right off. And then just press the button here on that plug and disconnect that, and then set these aside. Make sure that you don't lose any of that. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to pop off this panel and then this panel. So it doesn't matter which one you pop off first. This one's flexible. You can get your fingers here, let's move the camera up a little bit. You can get your fingers behind the plastic there, and be careful to try not to break it, but just pull straight back, firm but not really hard. There we go. and then it'll snap off, and there's the clips here that snap into those holes. And then that, as you saw, you probably saw a piece fall out of that whenever I pulled it off. But this is what we're talking about right here. This, see how I'm just peeling it out? It's almost like rubber now. It just breaks apart. And that's what our aluminum ones are going to replace. See, this is a good example. See, this one was just going to break. It was just going to fail. We were going to be locked out if I didn't do that soon. Okay, so now we're going to take this rear panel back here off as well. See, you can, it's flexible. You can put your fingers behind it and then just pull straight out like that and like that, and it'll snap right off. And then next we have a 6mm bolt right here, and then another 6mm bolt right there. So we will remove those really quick. And they're usually not in very tight. See, I've never taken this panel off. They're just hand tight in those brackets. So there's one, there's the second, right here. And then, yeah, keep those over here with your panels. Don't want to lose those. And then the next screw is going to be pretty difficult to get to. And I'll show you where it's at. It's not impossible, but you can get to it though. So we're going to go down here, underneath the door here. Hopefully we'll be able to get under here and see. Okay, you see that little opening? Let's get that focused. Let's see. Right there, that little opening right there. That is where that other 6mm screw is right in there. So we'll get an extension like I did, and I'll pull that out. Right in there. And once you get on that, yeah, these screws are not in very tight, so it's not very hard to get those out. You can get them out by hand, like I said. You don't need an impact or anything like that, but if you can get a 6mm on a screwdriver handle or an extension like that, it should be easy to get to. Okay, we've got that removed. So now, this door panel here, sorry about that. Once all of those are released, there's a little panel right here, right behind the latch there. You can see it better there maybe. And we're going to put a screwdriver in there, and you just put it up in this little notch and pry it down and out. And that will come right out. And that's also, now we'll remove those 6mm screws. Load the 6mm socket on there. Yeah, these are loose too, just hand tight. So you can get those out pretty easy as well. Okay. Pull. Yep, that one's loose as well. Alright, so we'll get those screws out. And this piece should just slide right out. That's all that does. So we'll set it aside as well. And then the next thing is we have all of the hardware off of it. So what this does is this panel will shift up and then it'll come right off. So you can just grab the handle you use to close the door and just lift up on it like that, and then that panel will come right off. You can set it aside, and then this will expose the mechanism. So now what we need to do if you're locked out here is we'll have to access this bottom part of this mechanism, this cable down here, because there's a latch down here. So we can peel back this plastic here, and down in this big hole there we'll be able to gain access. Just follow that cable. Once you pulled enough of that plastic back to be able to get your hand down in this hole, follow that cable, what we're going to have to do is we'll have to reach down in that hole and pull up on that cable, as well as pull down on this at the same time, so that we'll be able to open the door. Because if these are broken, the latch itself won't. So we'll just grab that, reach down in there, see I pulled that one, pull the bottom one, and the door is open. So now we have much better access to be able to complete fixing the latch mechanism. Okay, now that we have the door open, we're going to have to remove these torque screws here to get this latch out. But like I showed before, we have 4 of these cams here. I'll pull them out of the bag, a little easier to see. And this requires to have 4 of these. 3 of them are round like that, and 1 of them is a locking cam. See how that looks different? This one here, that goes in this top latch up here, and that's the only one that's different because of the way it's designed. That has to lock in there and hold that into place. It's just in a different way, and the other 3 are the same, so they'll go into the other 3 parts of the mechanism. So the next step here to fix this top one is we got to remove these T25 torque screws. They're in there pretty tight. They use Loctite on these, so because the last one, I remember, they were tighter than I thought they would be. So get a good ratchet on there and break those loose. And you can see that little bit of blue Loctite on there. They're definitely tighter than I thought. So just be careful, be good and firm with them. Try not to strip those out. Sometimes I prefer not to use a little impact, because when things are tight like that, it could strip out. So I'm doing it the old school manual way. You can do it any way you deem necessary. This is just how I do things. Okay. And that releases that latch. Now the next step is we're going to have to take the bottom part of this cable apart here. As you can see, this is already broken. Yeah, it was just a matter of time. Yeah, see, I mean, that just crumbles. Just, yeah, it's garbage. Yeah, those aluminum ones are definitely gonna be a better repair than the original. But what we'll do is we'll grab our screwdriver here, and this piece here, we just pry that little yellow tab right here back. And then snap that out of there, because what we're going to need is we're going to need that slack to be able to grab our locking cam. And what we do is it's got a groove in the side of it here, so you can wrap it around the cable, and then just press that on there. It can be a little difficult, but there's some grooves here on that plastic coating here, the cover there. So press this all the way down to that last groove. That's about where it needs to go. And the shape of that hole is the same as that. So you turn it like this and match that up in there like that. And then you turn the latch like that, turn it in there, and then it's locked into place. And now, turn it the wrong way. Turn it around like that, and now it's locked into place, and it's ready to screw back in up here at the top. And once you just turn this cam in and lock it in, now that's ready to screw back into place. So just replace all of your 25 Torx bolts up here, and then we'll work on the bottom one. Okay, now once we have this top part all put in, this here, of course that part's missing, we'll have to, if there's any plastic still left on there, you can use a set of side cutters. Since this stuff's really soft, I mean just a regular pair of pliers, it's just mushing. But if you use any cutters to try to cut that out from around, just be sure and not nip that cable, because you'll have to end up replacing the whole mechanism. But even just these pieces, like this piece going to here, it's like, I think it's $30 each, you know, for each side of these. And those aren't very expensive either, but these cables are still in really good shape. So there's no need in buying the whole mechanism when you can just spend $12 and get these. Okay, then we have this other one here. And where this snaps in is you got that collar right there. You see that little horseshoe shaped thing? So what we'll do is we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to put the cable through that, through that groove. And then there are some little grooves on the side of that shielding there, and just push it all the way up to the tops of those grooves. And then you can use a pair of pliers to try to snap that into place. It can be a little difficult, but it's not impossible. So just line it up as straight as you can. I mean, it's a good thing that it fits in there tight, because you don't want it to pop out later. There we go, and it snapped right in there. Yeah, that snapped in there good and tight. So what you want to do with this part here is, this is kind of adjustable. You want to put a little bit of tension on it, but don't pull it all the way out. So just put a little bit of, figure out where it's at, and then just put a little tension on it, and then snap that into place and lock that in. And then we can, this is the latch mechanism itself here. So once we replace all these and put them in, we can close the door and then you can test it. So if it's loose and doesn't want to open up, you can always pop that back open and then put a little more tension on it. Or if it doesn't want to close, you can take some tension off of it to get that proper calibration of the cable itself, so it'll snap in good. Now to get to this one, it's the same similar situation here, but it's on the back side. So this is where we're going to have to remove our T25 Torx. And I grabbed my impact this time. That Torx fits pretty tight, so I'm going to pull them out that way. Okay, we'll set these bolts to the side. And now we'll just do the same thing here. We'll pop that out. And then if you want to come in here and look closer, right down in there, see that fits into that groove the same way as it did on the top, and then we'll just slide that sleeve back on and then we'll snap it into place the same way. Alright, now we got all the old stuff off. This little ball, you can pull it up and pull it out of there. It's kind of like a throttle cable, some that way, so you can just pull that up, and if it'll make it easier, give you a little more leverage. And do you see the grooves in here? That's what I was talking about with the grooves. So you gotta slide that down, put that around the cable, and then just slide this over that cable until you hit about the last groove. And then pop that little ball back in there. And then that will line up there like the other one, and then we'll grab our pliers. We will squeeze that in there. Like it should be. Keep it square. Should be able to get that to snap in. There we go. That just snapped into place. There we go. Even better. And now we will just put our screws in and we will reattach that assembly. Okay, now we get to sit down on the job. Okay, this is the bottom latch mechanism for the on the door here. So there are 3 more of these torque screws under here to remove. And then once we remove these screws, like I said, we're gonna reach down in there and then pull that mechanism. I don't know if you can see down in there, but then we're going to pull that mechanism out of there and then replace that last cam. Okay, now that those screws are removed, we'll peel our plastic back here and then just grab the cable and pull that one out. Now that we have this out, once you remove all of the old cam plastic pieces off. Now, this one's a little tight to get that new cam piece on. You can leave the upper or the middle part of the mechanism loose and not snap that cam into the frame up here. But this is definitely possible without having to do that. It's just you got a little less cable to work with, but just pull it tight like that, and then you can, at an angle, get this started over that plastic right there. And then push that up there as far as you can. There we go. That's up to those, to the end of those notches that are on there. And then we'll grab our pliers and do the same thing once that lines up. Just snap that right into place. And then let's test the mechanism. And as you can see, when you pull that, where the handle will pull, it'll pull the latch. So what we'll do is we'll drop this back in here. And we will line up those holes like they were before. Okay. There's the latch mechanism there. Grab our screws and our impact. And then you can use your finger in here to manipulate the mechanism there to get those screw holes lined up. Start that with your finger. Start them all with our fingers here, and then we can use the impact and drive them home. And these holes aren't slotted or anything like that. That latch will be aligned when you tighten these screws back up. Grab our impact. Okay, and that's in place. That fixes all three spots of the latch here. So what we're going to do is we're going to test the door now. We're going to close the door, and you see it's closed. So we're going to reach in here. We're going to grab our latch, and it opened right up. And that's the fix. So now it's going to be a lot easier to put the panels back on because the door is open. And we'll finish that up. Now we're going to start reassembly of the interior components. And we'll just do all that in reverse. And you remember, with this panel, we just had to lift up and it came right out. There's these little tabs here, these hooks. There's 5 of them, 3, 4, and 5. And what you do is you line them up with all of these square indentions here. So once you get those in, it'll just shift right back down and the holes should line right up. Be sure and feed your wire back up through your handle here, like that. Feed that through. And then just get those little hooks up there. Try to get them lined up where they used to be. Try to get the whole panel flush. That way you know that they're all engaged with the door. And then you snap it down. And then you can see up here that these holes line up. So then we'll just, we'll put our first 2 6mm here. Then there's an 8mm there. And then we'll do the latch handle next. And now we're going to reinstall our handle to the latch. Now, it only goes up in one position, and plus it has an R on there for right, and the other one will have a left. But what you want to do is it's got these 2 little arms back here, and they're not completely lined up. But what you want to do is, the way this latch works is you see that when you pull the bottom one back, the top one goes forward. So what you want to do is you want this top one to be on the outside of that. Then you want this bottom one to be on the inside of that one. So you got to try to line those up. You have to get that latch in there just right. There we go. And that way you got it, it'll spring back and it goes both directions. So now we're going to put our 6mm bolts back in. And these don't have to be impact tight either. Oh, that slipped out. So there we go. If you keep that level where it's not pushed in too far or pulled out, it should slide right in. So hold that in good with your thumb while you tighten these, and it won't fall out. Because it slipped out of there because it didn't have a good hold on it. I got to get my 6mm. There it is. Yeah, that's the 6mm. Had the 8mm. Okay, get that tight. And then we get that tight. And then the last screw we have is this one down here, down low, under the door here, earlier, right there. That's the last 6mm bolt. Way easier to get to with the door open. So we will put that one in. And these screws screw into little plastic brackets that are in the door, so that's why you don't want to over tighten them. It will strip out. That's why they were hand tight. Okay, now that we've got that done, we will test the door now and see if our handle right here itself will open it. So that door, yeah, it closed really well. Oh, there's one minor detail I about forgot, is our cover for the screws here on the latch handle here. That's the top part where it goes more straight out, and then the bottom part hooks in. So what you'll do is you'll hook that down in the bottom and then just snap that in place, and then that'll cover it up. So yeah, we got it in there. And sometimes that's why before you put the handle on, even after you get this panel on, I made a slight adjustment off camera, but it's that little yellow clip. It's just whenever you close it, just make sure there's a little tension on it, but you're not actually moving the mechanism up top. So it'll close real easy, and then it opens. Close real easy, open. And you may have to adjust that here and there. I ended up adjusting it while the door was closed, so I put just enough tension on it and snapped that thing in there, and then closed that little yellow flap. And then, yeah, this is opening. See, opening and closing really easy. Doesn't take much to close it. So I got that dialed in perfect. Okay, so next we're gonna put on our top pieces here, and those are pretty easy to do. So what we'll do is we'll grab this smaller piece, and then you just line these clips up with those holes, and then just make sure this bottom piece is flush here. So you'll just push that down on there, line up those little metal pieces, and pop them in place. Same goes for this piece. Make sure you got those in the right orientation. Line those up, and then give it a good pop. And then, last but not least, we will plug our window button back in. There it is, and then you just line it back up where the button is, and then you just snap that in place. Put these two tabs down in that hole like that. Make sure that you're not going to pinch any wires or anything. Push that down, snap that into place. So if you are having these issues, that's all it takes. It takes a little bit of time. The adjustment on that part, if the door doesn't open and close properly, that could be a little tedious, but you can get it. Just when you do adjust it, make sure the door is closed. I found that was the easiest way. And then pull a little slack on there and snap that in there, and then test the door a few times, and you'll be good to go. And I do greatly appreciate you all watching, and if this helped you at all, yeah, please, hit the like and subscribe there at the bottom. I appreciate all of that, and I have more videos coming. I bought a classic pickup. I'm going to do a walk around on it. I did some work on it too right after I got it, because it ran so bad. I had to get it to where it ran decent. But I'll go through everything that I did. I have more parts I'm going to throw on that, and that it needs, and I'll do videos on those as well. So if you're interested, please stay tuned, and I appreciate you watching. Until next time, guys, thanks.